Hey guys, Professor Bill, Comic Book University, and I just got finished watching Teen Titans: The Judas Contract. Now, wow, man, this was pretty much exactly as good as I expected it to be. There were no really big surprises in this. There's nothing special. If you read the initial comic, you'll find things that are almost the exact same. Sorry, this light source sucks. You're going to find a lot of the same, so you won't be disappointed. You're just not going to be surprised and go, "Oh, wow, that's new," because not really. It's not like play by play by the book, but it kind of is in many regards. There were no surprises here. I do like in the beginning how before the credits, the opening credits, they actually had I guess you'd say the original Teen Titans for the most part. It wasn't all the original members, but you had pretty much them there, and that's when they first met Starfire. I'm going to say I don't feel as though that had anything to do with the actual main story. It was a really great way to show how Nightwing and back when he was still Robin, met up with Starfire. It was cool. We got to see that first kiss and a bunch of cool jokes. Of course, I mean, this is Teen Titans. There are jokes all throughout. All right, sans the final battle, there are jokes every single portion of this movie, so it's cool. But yeah, it didn't really do anything. Plus, honestly, it left a bad taste in my mouth because I saw them fighting what looked like parademons. Okay, maybe native from her own world, something else. I don't know, but they just look like parademons. And to be quite frank, I'm getting sick and tired of seeing motion comic or animation or movies and parademons with DC Comics. It's overdone. It's like nowadays they're no longer a threat. All right, I've seen the different DC characters beat up on parademons so much lately in everything DC related, pretty much, minus the actual comics, that I'm telling you, I feel like I could kick a parademon's butt. So, yeah, I am Groot after all. But yeah, forget about it. Okay, so we do a time jump afterwards, and we get to at the time, the modern, when Terra was there during the Judas Contract. There were clearly a bunch of characters there who weren't there at the time, like Damian Wayne, like Blue Beetle. Wow. I'm going to get to Blue Beetle in a moment. But, yeah, what did I write here? Thanks for letting us know Starfire and Nightwing are having sex. Yeah, literally, that's exactly what I'm obviously reading right off of here. Yeah, okay, cool, man. Cool. Like, that's going to get the little kids, all like, they're having sex. Yeah, we know if you've read a single Teen Titans comic, right? You know that Starfire and Nightwing, Dick Grayson are getting it on. All right, just come on, man, come on. We know it's literally like it's thrown at us a lot throughout the movie. Make no mistake, a lot of it's really funny, but to me, it's kind of like one of those things where it's like, okay, waiting for something new. Are they introducing this or something? I don't know, but. Brother Blood and Mayhem in this were fantastic. I mean, like the perfect zealots. Everything you think of when you think of a zealot, bang, that's the deal right there. And then, of course, Deathstroke is in this. They did do this well. I didn't think Deathstroke was in this movie because of the way that they were starting everything off. I'm literally thinking to myself, it is not the Judas Contract if Deathstroke is not in here. That's almost like saying, for a fact that if you saw something that said Judas Contract and Terra wasn't in it, you'd say it's not the Judas Contract. I don't care who they've got to replace Terra. It's not the Judas Contract if Terra's not in it, right? Deathstroke is the immediate after effect of that, all right? He's number 2 in line for it ain't a Judas Contract movie. So I was extremely excited that, I don't know about extremely excited. Okay, wrong choice of words. I'm getting there. I was happy to see the way that they actually pulled this off. All right. It looked like he wasn't going to be in it, and all of a sudden, boom. And while we're talking about Deathstroke, holy crap. This literally is Deathstroke from the comics. This is not just from the Judas Contract comic, the graphic novel. This is not just from, when he first debuted. This is not throughout. This is literally him. So many different iterations of him all rolled up into one awesome sandwich, all right? Missing an eye. Because, wow. Like, they even... There's a part where he calls Jaime, Blue Beetle, let's just talk about him, he calls him Essay, which is specifically, it's not just in Spanish, it means him, but Mexican Spanish. This is a way of, talking to someone, typically of disrespect. You know what I'm saying? And, if you're a Mexican American, duh, you know what I'm saying? Like, this obviously, but the greater audience probably isn't going to know this. All right. So when he actually called him that, this was clearly a sign of disrespect, and it's a bit of racism. All right. Sorry, I hope nobody's offended by the fact that they did this, but that is who Deathstroke is. Especially in this latest run, they really kind of emphasize the point that he's a racist, and just boom. So many different little key things that would happen with Deathstroke that just made me stop and go, holy crap. Like, they really thought about this, So I love that fans, not just creators, obviously that's important, but like fans of these characters made these characters in this animation. So the fact that there are no surprises is one thing. Maybe that's one of the reasons why there aren't really any surprises in this, because they're made by fans. So they stayed very, very true to the, not entirely true, obviously, different characters and a couple different little points in here, but very true to the characters and to the storyline. Hats off, man. The Deathstroke and Damien exchange. Oh, if you haven't seen this yet, it's worth it just to see the scenes between, and there are only two major scenes. One of them is the final boss battle. Damien and Deathstroke, man. Holy crap. Like, they did do a little bit of a change there. It was the only thing in this entire thing which made me go, oh. So I was very pleased with what happened there. I'm going to try not to do too many spoilers in here. Some are going to be unavoidable. Sorry. The final battle, just again to the final battle. Spectacular, man. Now, what they did here was they had, fine. F it, spoilers. They had a two-ply battle going on, all right? Brother Blood with the powers of the Teen Titans and the Teen Titans themselves fighting them over here. But over here, you had Deathstroke versus Damien and Nightwing. And, wow! The way... This is like the Star Wars methodology, all right? Where you got the ground battle and you got the space battle and then you got the Jedi lightsaber battle going. So, and they'll switch between each three. So it's not just you're watching one and you're just like, and it's too much. They start hitting you with little things here and there, and each one is climaxing, in each part, and just wow. So, they only did it with the two different battles here, but they did it very expertly. They did it very well, all right? I'm very satisfied with how they did this, the exchange. I don't think they could have done it any better, honestly. And Kevin Smith is actually in this. And when he's like, it's him, it's his voice, and I'm very glad that he was in it. It didn't make the movie, but it was really a good add-on to the movie, a very good addition. And I have to say, he's drawn like a Scooby-Doo character. I'm actually wondering if he specifically requested, listen, when you draw my character, could you maybe draw me looking like a Scooby-Doo character? Just saying, because that sounds like something he would do in the first place. I really enjoyed that. The last thing that I want to mention here is that they didn't do too much with the Blue Beetle, but they did do enough. And guys, I know like the Ted Cord and all the other different versions of the Blue Beetle, but honestly, Jaime's my favorite one. All right, I know I'm an older comic book reader. It shouldn't be the case. I should go back to the original National Comics and that one's my favorite one. No. Honestly, this is my favorite Blue Beetle. I love the diaspora between Jaime and the scarab on his back, like fused to his spine. I love it. All right, there is a little bit of Dr. Octopus in there, but it's done very expertly, where it is different enough, just enough. And I think it's time for a Blue Beetle animation. And just honestly, like, I know that DC doesn't like to do that. They could have just made a Throne of Atlantis title, what I'm saying? But instead they made it Justice League, Throne of Atlantis, and they had the entire Justice League in it, which was still a great movie. But Aquaman is good enough that he could stand on his own, especially if they're writing him well. You know what I'm saying? Would it be that hard to and I don't want to keep on going back to the idea of tapping Jeff Johns, but he did do probably one of the best runs. But Sword of Atlantis was also good, way back when. There's a lot of good storylines with Aquaman, and they could have done that. This is an Aquaman review. But I believe that if you get the correct writer or correct writers and just tap them and say, listen, make me a good story with Blue Beetle. Look, you want to have a cameo or two just to play it safe. I understand, DC. That's one of the reasons why DC does such a great job. You know what I'm saying? With their animations, they're always like, boom, as of late. Like the last really good Marvel animation I saw was World War Hulk. No, they didn't do World War Hulk. Planet Hulk. All right? They did Planet Hulk. It was great. It was great. But they didn't really need a whole bunch of other characters in it. They had, for the most part, all of the Guardians of the Galaxy in it, literally just as Easter eggs. If you even notice them, it's like, oh, hey, that's Star-Lord. Oh, hey, look, Gamora. And just little stuff like that. But nah, for the most part, they couldn't even have Silver Surfer in it. They had Beta Ray Bill in it instead, Beta Ray Thor. So, yeah, little things like that. They couldn't really show Reed Richards in there. They had to have Doctor Strange and just whatever, man. And Tony Stark talking, of course. But, yeah, they're willing to take chances and say, we're actually going to focus on this character. And DC doesn't really do that. Like in the beginning they did. They had a solo Death of Superman. They had the Wonder Woman, and they had Batman with a whole bunch of Batman stuff in it. I forget what that was called. Gotham Knights, I think it was. Anyway, after that, they really just started, boom, boom, boom. Here's a whole bunch of extra stuff in there, Not that I'm complaining. Was it Superman Apocalypse or Superman Doomsday? I think it was, Superman Apocalypse, duh. That, obviously Supergirl was in it. That was cool. They didn't need to have Wonder Woman in there. But I'm very glad they did. You know what I'm saying? But it could have just been, they didn't even really need Batman in it. But they were playing it safe, So I get the idea of playing it safe and making sure you have enough characters in there to really, amp it up. But now it's getting to the point where we expect it, And I just feel like what a rant that I'm going on, right? About Blue Beetle of all characters. No, I genuinely believe that they can make a Blue Beetle movie, all right, animated, and just maybe a cameo or two of somebody else. But for the, maybe just like Radio Contact. I believe they could really explore this character and get this character on the map. If you're a comic fan, you know that he's on the map. But guys, if you're not reading comics, if you're not reading his comics, most people I see, even on nerdy groups, on comic book groups, like, who exactly is the Blue Beetle? You know what? Maybe I got to do a Blue Beetle explained in a minute thing about him, just because. I really should. I've got so many other characters I got to do first. But anyway, yeah. In fact, I've actually got a Nightwing. It's almost ready. It's the hardest part is done. I just have to edit the darn thing, for crying out loud. And I've got to do too many other characters first, the Guardians of the Galaxy stuff and everything. But I'm gonna have to do a Blue Beetle explained in a minute. I'm gonna have to. Done. But this was a good film, and I would love it if they used this animation as a setup to do Blue Beetle. Of all the characters that are in there, it's time for a Blue Beetle animation, and just boom, put it out there. And you know what? They used to always do the short films beforehand. Like you'd have the miniature Spectre, or the miniature Green Arrow, or the miniature what's some of the one they did Jonah Hex. That was actually a really good one, all things considered. Do a short. The next DC animated movie that you're going to do, I know what it is. I just can't remember what it is right now. But whatever, when you're going to do it, do a short of Blue Beetle. Do like a little 5-minute thing, the Catwoman one. You remember the Catwoman one? Oh, itchy mama. But yeah, do a Blue Beetle one at the very least, all right? See how it works with audiences. And I'm telling you, man, I would love to just see that. Tell me if I'm wrong. All right, guys, Professor Bill, Comic Book University. Class dismissed.